What's your take on JD Vance's statement? JD Vance said that the India Pakistan conflict is none of the US's business. It has nothing to do with us. We have no business talking about it. Essentially, that's what he said. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know what exact words he used, but he said that it's none of the US's business and America needs to stay out of it. The vice president of the United States said that. So what should we infer from that? What does it mean? It's obviously a signal. It's not just an answer given to a journalist who asked a question. It's also it's also a diplomatic signal. It's also a policy statement. It's also a message to India as well as Pakistan, as well as Russia, as well as China, and whoever else is interested in whatever way. It's a message. So how do we interpret what JD Vance said? What does it mean that this conflict, this war, is none of America's business? Which is surprising, considering the history the US has had with Pakistan. The US was Pakistan's big daddy in the 20th century. The US was Pakistan's main funder and financer. They are the ones who taught Pakistan how to use terror as as policy, as state policy. It started with the Mujahideen in Afghanistan, but it also spilled out into Punjab and then into Kashmir in the 80s and 90s. And then the primary target for Pakistani terror was India, all funded and financed by the US. During the war on terror of George W. Bush, Pakistan was the linchpin of that. It was the staging base for whatever was happening in Afghanistan and so on. So the US has been the big daddy for decades. Pakistan was their vassal for decades. Then, for a decade or so, Pakistan became China's vassal. And then, 2022 onwards, for a brief couple of years, Pakistan was a US vassal again. Now, what JD Vance has said indicates that the US has washed its hands of Pakistan. It's essentially a statement that means that India needs to handle Pakistan whichever way it wants to. Just ensure that this matter doesn't spill out and become a bigger problem. Deal with Pakistan whichever way you want. That's the message. Why would the US give such a message to India? It's because the US is seriously worried about China. And if they want to contain China, which they are trying to do, well, in the Eurasia region, the only nation that is large enough to be a significant bulwark against China and an alternative to China is India. So they need India on their side when it comes to containing China. Now, we don't want to be used as anyone's pawn, obviously. We are too big a nation, too old of a civilization to be a pawn on someone's chessboard. But today, China is 3.5 times more powerful than us. And China is not exactly a friendly nation, as I think every Indian knows. China is a threat. And right now, they are 3.5 times more powerful than India. So it makes sense to have some kind of understanding with the US, right? And that's why it makes sense for us to be on the side of the US in the matter that concerns China, while being completely independent and sovereign and autonomous in other matters. So when it comes to China, yes, US and India, we're going to work together on that. You want to do it while using the quad route or other route, the Indo-Pacific, whatever, let's do it. We'll work together on that. But if you want us to oppose Russia, sorry. Russia, India, that's a whole different matter. You guys stay out of it. China, we're going to help you. We're going to be with you. Let's work together on China. So it's issue-based cooperation, but it is long-term cooperation. So India and the US are on the same page when it comes to China. And the US is trying to make good with Russia also. They tried, at least for a while. They tried. But they will not be able to make India pull away from Russia or abandon its historic, very positive relationship with Russia. That's not going to happen. So that's the deal. So when it comes to Pakistan, the US is perfectly willing to sacrifice Pakistan if it means that India will be on the US's side when it comes to the China matter. So it looks like a deal has been struck. The art of the deal. Deal with Pakistan. Take your time. Do whatever you want. but you are going to be with us when it comes to China. So, what does it mean in the context of today's conflict? This is a great question by Amisha. It means most likely this is going to go into in a certain direction. Uh, it means that this conflict is not over. See, the Pakistanis have done an incredibly stupid thing. I said this 2 weeks ago that the Pahalgam attack is going to go down in history as an inflection point in Pakistan's history. And the day they did the attack was the day the clock started ticking backwards for them. Countdown began for them. And I said the countdown the clock is ticking down to zero. It may last 10 years or 5 years or 3 years or 6 months or 3 months. Now, seeing the way the situation is evolving, the clock may count down to zero in 14 days. Possible. So, as long as we manage this properly, carefully, and we ensure the situation doesn't spill out beyond the Indian subcontinent, the Americans are okay with the disintegration of Pakistan.